kitchen at Westminster for another episode of Saving Thyme. This week we're making cheese stuffed meatballs, and we're going to make up our own marinara sauce and nice pasta dish. Families love pasta. It's filling. It's got everything you need in it to be a complete meal. I say get busy. We're doing our meatballs with ground chicken. I like this for all sorts of reasons. Primary one, way less fat, almost no fat. And that means very little cleanup when you cook your meatballs, so you don't have grease hissing and spitting all over the place. That said, if you've got ground beef on hand and that's what you want to use, go ahead. Know it's going to be a little bit messier in your pan. That's you know. I went ahead off camera. Wow, that's strong. I've got my onions cut up in here already. I used about 1/4 of an onion in for preparing the meatballs, which is where we're going to start. Shannon just caught the smell of the onion. It is strong. Speaking of onions, I picked this bag up, a 3-pound bag of onions, for, it was $2.50 or something like that. So storage onions right now. I had finally run out. I often have a pile of them, but there you go. Bricks of cheese like this at No Frills are always right around the $3 mark. It was in a sale this week, but $3, hard to beat. We're not going to need the whole thing, so we'll do this. We're going to make 16 meatballs and cheese stuffed. So we want 16 little pieces of cheese to go in the center of each one. I think I'm only going to need half. I'll set that right there for the time being. I think I've got lots. We want about 1/2-inch pieces. So there, I've got a 1/2 inch on depth or thereabouts. Think about the size of your meatball. You want to tuck it in. And now I'm at 4. So each of these into, that's way too much. There we go. That's big. We can go another piece like this. So there's 4 and 8. Look at that, right? 12 and 16. Now, if you wanted to, you could grate up the rest and use it as garnish on your pasta when you serve it, or maybe you'll have some other purpose for it. If you already had some mozzarella lying around, bravo, then you didn't need to buy that. This whole meal is coming together pretty cheap. I've spent right around $15 on everything, but like I say, I had to buy the bag of onions and the whole bit, so you might be in better shape than I am in the kitchen. I don't know where it all went, but there you go. That's how it goes with food, right? One day you have it, the next you don't. Now, what we're going to do is, because we don't want the cheese to like ooze out while the meatballs are baking, we just want it to be soft when we cut into them. I'm gonna pop this in the freezer. I always wash up little containers like this because they're as handy as all get out. Stick them in there, and we're just gonna tuck them in the freezer while we get the rest of it ready. Start off nice and cold, and then we buy ourselves some time. We're all done with that business already. Set that over there. So, $4 for a pound of ground chicken at Freshco this week, which is where I got it. It's a pretty good deal. You can buy bags of frozen ground chicken for, you get 4 tubes. It's right around four pounds for $10. It's a dirt cheap deal. And then you've got it in your freezer. But right now, fresh, which is great, for $4. Again, pretty cheap. It's a bit of a shame about that though. Can't do much about it these days. Just grab your spoon and kind of chop it up because it's in long strips and we're gonna need to work with it. I'm just using it almost like the side of a knife. It doesn't take much. Mixing together the chicken and the onion, and then we're going to add an egg, and the egg holds it all together, right? So, I almost dropped it, which, you know, would have been a bit of a drag in the wrong spot. There we go. So just 1 egg in there. We don't have a lot of compost this week, and you know, that's all right because it's February, it's hard, right? At this time of year, we're not getting a lot of fresh. You can make this sauce that we're going to make today using fresh tomatoes. It would just simmer a little bit longer. And other than that, you skin them. It's a little messier, but if you've got beautiful fresh tomatoes, either in your garden or a great buy at the farmer's market or something, and you want to make fresh, by all means, do it, okay? Your compost bowl will fill up nicer. I'm just mixing that in, trying to get it evenly coated, but we're adding more so we don't need to be too fussy. Coming together. We want about 1/4 of a cup of Parmesan cheese. I had this left over in the fridge, and you know what? That's a 1/4 cup. That looks pretty good. I'm going to call it perfect. I want that little bit to come out. I'm going to do this. And there. That's also going to be dirty dishes. We need a little bit of salt and pepper. Not too much, just enough. Just enough. And a little bit of pepper in there. I brought some of my dried oregano from home, and I'm just going to put a little, see how nice it crumbles up in my fingers like that? Just like that. We'll go a little shot more because it's beautiful, and oh my goodness, I was digging around in the cupboard where I keep the herbs the other day, and I thought I better get using them up because I'll soon have a garden full of them again. So, I'll stop being shy. I always worry at the beginning and think I want to make it last. I don't want to go to the store and buy them and that kind of thing. So then this time of year, I'm reckless. I get wild in the kitchen, adding spices everywhere. Just giving that a good mix. You can see it's all coming together nicely. Next thing we're going to add is 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. That's my 1/4 cup measure. And in she goes. And that's just going to help to hold them together too. We're all done with that. See how easy this is? Did we get it all? We've got our oregano, ground chicken, egg, onion, breadcrumbs. We got it all. We've got it all. And if you're, a little bit of distraction and it's easy to lose our spot, I check and double check recipes always because I can think I did something. I can be sure that I did something. Always best to have a little double check. You're just working it around. That's all there is to it. Preheat your oven to 375. We're not immediately ready, but get yourself sorted out, okay? For a homemade meal, this comes together really quick. And if you buy meatballs in the grocery store, they're expensive. Like, we've got what, maybe $5 in here? and we'll get, and they're cheese filled. Are you kidding me, right? Your kids are gonna love them if you have kids with the cheese in the middle. And you can sell them that way. These have got cheese. Cheese in the middle. These are selling features. Okay, that's brilliant. Now, that's my little hold it still towel. Get yourself a baking sheet or a pan like I have. I sometimes get a pan just in case because I think to myself if there's going to be any grease, balancing it on the sheet is a little trickier than holding it in the pan. That's why I did that. We're going to form 16 meatballs. So I'm just going to spread it out. Just like that. And, yeesh, that's kind of messy. I'm wishing for a plate. Shannon, excuse me 1 second. I'm just going to grab a plate. I'm going to get rid of this ugly thing. And I want a plate just to hold my meatballs for just a second while I get the rest organized. Now, I have this handy little tool that is about a tablespoon in, maybe a little more than a tablespoon. It's about that size. I like to use it, but if you don't, you can obviously just dig in with your hands or a couple of spoons and get busy. I'm just going to start, we'll reform them when we add the cheese, but just to get it going. I like it just to portion it, right? Like it's just a way to get started. There's 4 and 5, good. And I can come back when I'm ready to add the cheese. I've got my meat all portioned out. Let me grab my little, here, it's already frozen, see? Like, isn't that fantastic? It goes fast and it works out great. And lucky thing I kept that. Oh, come on. I hope everybody keeps them. Yeah, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? So this is where we are going to get messy. There's no way around it. You are going to have to get your hands in here. we're gonna do it all in one shot and then it won't matter. So make a little divot with your finger and then just, you don't have to be perfect, just tuck it back in, okay? And then into your parchment pan. And so again, just a little divot, kept sticking to my finger. Grab a piece of cheese, tuck it in, and then fold it all over again. I always try when I put it into the pan to put where my lighter side up, because in case, you know, it spills out. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling like if we can go off camera, well, I finished the remaining, you know, what have I got, 14 to do? You don't need to watch me do them all. I'll be right back. Hey, look, I've got all these meatballs. They're gorgeous, right? Look how nice they are. Beautiful thing about ground chicken is they're gonna look very much the same after they cook. We're just gonna set them in the fridge. We don't need to think about them for a few minutes. We're preheating to 375. We're gonna start our sauce. Sauce this week, I'm just making enough for this meal. This sauce, you're gonna go to a tiny bit of trouble, and if you wanted to make a double or a triple or a quadruple batch and then keep it in the fridge or put it away, be my guest, right? I mean, come on. And if you wanted to use fresh tomatoes, again, it's just a slightly longer cooking time. You'll want to start with your sauce if you're doing fresh tomatoes. Okay, we are just gonna start by putting a tablespoon or so in the bottom of your pot. And we'll start warming it up, and then we're gonna add onion and garlic. There we go. And some onion and garlic. I've got to be careful because I put a tiny bit of sugar on top of that plate because we're gonna use it in our sauce, and I just didn't want to have the great big canister thing. It's not even a canister. That makes it sound like it's fancy. It's actually a bucket. I cut up half an onion and minced 2 cloves of garlic. That's all that I've got in here. We're gonna put it in here with our oil and just get it going. We just want to soften that up. So, you know, maybe we're gonna be 2 minutes, not long. It's just to get it softened up. I see a little tiny bit and I went to trouble chopping that up nice and small. Leaving that to go. And then I bought crushed tomatoes, okay? You can get a can of crushed tomatoes almost any day of the week in a store somewhere for about $1 a can, okay? They're always on sale somewhere for a fair price. Get crushed, okay? Don't, if you get diced or something like that, again, you're looking at a longer cooking time. So keep that in mind. I'm gonna turn that down a little bit. Okay, once those are softened up, we're going to be adding our tomatoes. What else have I got here? And salt, pepper, a little more oregano. And then we're just gonna let it simmer. We're just gonna put a lid on it and let it simmer. Shannon was just eyeing my basil, which is going to be for garnish at the end. I'm not gonna cook it in. I wanna sprinkle it on the top. It'll look beautiful. That's why I got the fresh, okay? We want it to be really nice. Really, really nice. We're growing some basil, my husband. He's got some growing in a little hydroponics unit that we have. And I considered, you know, borrowing from some of those plants, but I know he has a pesto in mind for the basil that he's growing. These are coming along, beauty. Sizzling. All I'm doing is making sure that if they sit in one spot for long, they could get browned up. And that's not the end of the world, but it's not what we want. Look at us go. Like, this is a homemade meal. I went ahead a little while ago and put cold water into my pot. You can get it ready anytime you want to. That's just for our pasta. Give it a good shot of, you know what, I'm gonna just do this. You need at least a tablespoon of salt in there, so don't be shy with it. And these are coming really nice. Just getting a little bit of color and already softening up. I'm happy with where they're at. Crushed tomatoes are going in. Careful about splashing. It always makes a great racket when you add some liquid. And we're just going to push it around, okay? Just moving it around. We want this to be able to simmer for a while. I'm going to turn it down a bit so it doesn't get too wound up. I've got my spatula. I'm not going to waste any. So the crushed tomatoes, the thing about what you're thinking, Margot, why am I going to this trouble? Well, this is tomatoes and water is what's listed, okay? When you buy a sauce that's pre-made, a jar sauce, can of sauce, whatever, it inevitably, it's going to say herbs and seasonings and salt, and sometimes it has an alarming inclusion as far as I'm concerned. The one that gets me every time is natural flavors. I was thinking, I thought that the natural flavor came from the ingredients. I don't understand how natural flavor is in itself an ingredient, mystery item. I don't want it. This lets me keep control. You can see I've got less than a teaspoon of sugar on there. Sometimes tomatoes could use a little help. I'm going to put a little bit of salt and pepper in. Someone recently said to me that they had something I cooked and they said I had to add salt, and I said good, because you can add salt but you cannot take it away. Okay, so this is always my thought, is that somebody at the table can do whatever they want with their salt, but if I dump a whole whack of salt into my food, how are they going to get rid of it when they take a bite? Funny story while we're talking about salt and I'm not doing much. My mom tells the story that when she was first married, they had some company over for dinner. She had a recipe from my grandma for some stew and it said a quarter salt. Quarter salt. Should have been a quarter teaspoon. She went quarter cup. Really, really, really salty stew. So again, I'm just crushing that nice oregano, and I'd say I'd put maybe 2 teaspoons in there. And give it a little push around. Look at that. See, this is going to make a nice sauce. We're in control. We're in control of the seasonings. We're in control of the ingredients. That's all that's going to happen. We want it to simmer and get delicious. I might go a tiny bit more oregano. I want to be able to see it. I love the way I can hear it. I don't know if I've said before, I just dry my herbs in lunch bags, like brown paper bags, and gather them up, and it's really glamorous. I do it in one of the closets in the house, and I hang them all from the closet rod, and it works great. And I mean, sandwich bags, right? No fancy anything. We can just leave that going like that. It'll take, give it at least 20 minutes. If you want to leave it to simmer for longer, go ahead. It's just going to keep getting enhanced flavor, but at least 20 minutes. We're going to stick a lid over it so that it doesn't disappear on us, because otherwise it will turn into, tomato paste. I should say, you can start this way and let it get thicker, leave the lid off, make your own pizza sauce. As soon as you buy a little, like pizza sauce sometimes comes in tins like this, they're like that little bit is the cost of this whole can. And this, yeah, right? And then you'd have pizza sauce to put away. Once we're done with the sauce, it will keep in the fridge for like a week, and you could, if you made a big batch, put it in jars, put it in the freezer for a couple of months. Easy peasy. Right now, we're going to get those meatballs back out. They're so cute. I love them. Look at them. They're so cute. And they're going to go in the oven, total time 20 minutes. Now I'm just going to take a second to tell you what I'm doing here. Our pasta, I'm using a penne, and al dente is about 10 minutes at a good boil. So I'm going to put these in. I want a full 20 minutes, but I want everything to time out. So I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes, and that's when I know I have to add the pasta to the water. When it's done, everything else will be. So right now, into the oven they go. They're going to be so good. I put 10 minutes on my timer, and I'll see you in 10. I'm going to start my water to boil. I'll see you in 10. The sauce is just starting. It bubbles around the edges every now and again, so I just keep pushing it around. And then I'm messing around. You could probably walk away. Water is at a boil, and I already salted it, so I'm not going to do that again. I'm doing 1 pound of pasta for 4 people. And in she goes. And I'm gonna set my timer for 10 minutes again. Meatballs are already starting to smell good. Do you wanna have a little peek? Let's have a little peek and then I'll stir that pasta. Whoop! There we go. You can see the cheese is just kind of starting to peek out of them. They're so good. Close it up. 10 minutes for our pasta. When it's done, I'm gonna drain it. We'll come back and plate together. And it looks great. Look at the meatballs. I'm telling you, you are gonna wanna make these tonight. You're gonna say, I'm going to the store. Freshco until Wednesday, so that's the 23rd. Okay, $4. $4. Giddy up. Now, pasta's perfect. Look at this nice bowl. Somebody donated it. So I'm gonna use it because it's for pasta. Let's do it. It's gonna be a very big serving. We can always put that back. We will be feeding this meal forward here from Westminster to a family in town. I'm gonna put the meatballs on top of the sauce. I'm gonna go, look at how nice our sauce is. Look at that, right? Isn't that nice? Just go a little bit more like that. So pretty. And let's go 1. I know we've got 16, but you know I'm going to say odd numbers look nicer. So I'm going to put 3. You go ahead and put 4 if that's what you want to do, but you know I like my odd numbers. This is where our fresh basil comes into play. You can always get these at the fresh herbs at No Frills for $1.99 each. Great buy for off season, and sometimes fresh is what you want. Like on a pasta, you want the fresh basil. You don't. If we sprinkled dry basil on top of it, it wouldn't be appealing at all. But this is beautiful. Look at that, and the taste is good. Sublime. Parmesan cheese, dress it up. Just a sprinkle. There you go. We'll go there. Should we do another little dab of sauce on there? A little, because it's this beautiful, beautiful red. There we go. Look at how nice this looks. Look at how pretty this is. This is a beautiful, beautiful meal, and you know what you put in it. You've got these meatballs that you made from scratch with very little effort. Sauce, same thing. Your choice on seasonings, how much of each thing you want. Beautiful, you're in control. Pasta, what a great meal. We just put this together in under an hour, I think. Bon appetit. I'll see you next week. Make sure if you enjoy this pasta, meatballs, I know you're going to, like the video, please. Subscribe to the Westminster Orangeville channel. Hit the little bell so you get notified. Quit letting food eat up all your time and money, okay?